Hello and welcome to That's the Point, the only place where we talk about construction, positioning, workflows. We've got an awesome couple of episodes beginning right here today. My name is Corey Meyer and I'm joined by Trimble's very own Matthew Lorenzana. Matthew, how's it going?
Going great. I'm happy to be here.
I mean, we are so happy that you're here. So we're always talking about bringing new perspectives, new ideas about the construction technology workflows and actual technology solutions. And one of the things that came up in our discussions was this emerging world of bringing the real world scanning applications more into the design space. And as we're seeing these tools evolve, we're finding that this scan data that we're capturing in the field, that for the longest time, people saw a lot of value in capturing it because you could just capture it, put it in the file folder, and leave it if you ever needed it down the road. But we're seeing more and more that as these technologies advance, which is like Trimble SketchUp, which is what we're going to look at today, you can really use that scan data to then create modeling that can then affect decisions and help with your workflow and visualization. There's so many avenues that we can go down with this. And that's kind of what we wanted to take over the next couple episodes, is just take a closer look at some of these topics and show how far it's come and how easy it is to get into this data and start to use it.
That's right.
So with that table kind of being set, what we want to do today is kind of give a broad overview of the Scan Essentials package, which sits on top of SketchUp. And it allows us to be that bridge between our scan data and Trimble SketchUp. Scan Essentials kind of sits in between there. And we've got a familiar, I see it on your screen right now, but we've actually got a familiar data set. We are talking about the Trimble Westminster office.
That's right.
And you've actually just done a quick scan, and you've actually pulled that into SketchUp. And we're going to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so here, as Corey just said, we have the Trimble Westminster headquarters here as a point cloud within our SketchUp model viewer. And I was able to bring this in using Scan Essentials. What we're going to do today here is basically just show you guys how to do some basic modeling on top of the point cloud, kind of using it as a reference and kind of just show you guys how easy and how simple it is to create a 3D model from an existing structure. And the best case scenario for using this kind of tool is basically doing any retrofit or renovations for any existing structures that may be having any additions to them, or just any landscaping or additional structures being added to that existing. Right, so now I'll show you guys how to do some basic functions within Scan Essentials. So here we have the point cloud blending tools. Basically, you can have it so that in the model viewer you can turn off the point cloud so you're not seeing it at all. Have it set to about 25% of the point cloud being shown, 75%, 100%, and this is the one that I use the most, which is conditional blending. Basically, it'll change the percentage of the point cloud being shown as you're modeling, so that it's not bogging down your computer so much when you're creating that geometry. And you'll see that here now that as I'm moving through the point cloud, you'll see that some of the points get removed, just to kind of help your computer out with some of the processing.
Yeah, because I mean, it should be noted, like this isn't exactly like a crazy workstation that you're running on here. It's just a normal everyday laptop with a point cloud.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a basic laptop, and one of the great things about Scan Essentials is that you're now allowed to, as opposed to constantly using SketchUp, as opposed to constantly snapping to the geometry that's within your model viewer, you can now snap to the points of the actual point cloud, and you can snap to them individually. So for example, let's say we want to start modeling some of these columns here that are in the breezeway. You can use your traditional SketchUp tools. I want to create my rectangle, and you can see here that it's actually snapping to all of the individual points that I'm hovering my mouse over inside of the point cloud. So let's say, for example, I want to draw this column here. I'll start it up top here, kind of match the geometry that I see on the point cloud. And then, if I want to extend the depth of the column, you can do so, again, by using the same traditional tools that in SketchUp that you may or may not be familiar with. And you can match the depth of the column in the real world structure.
And everything is happening, like you're not setting your views or anything, you're not locked down to top or any kind of any isometric views, like you're just free flow editing, and now you're even copying and doing the second column without even worrying about any of that stuff.
Exactly.
You're just drawing what you're seeing.
Exactly. So if you want to just move, instead of snapping to the point cloud and you want to snap to the actual model itself, you can then switch to that. So you can see now, as opposed to snapping to the points in the point cloud, I'm snapping to the actual geometry that I've already drawn.
Wow.
So you can then move it wherever you want it, right here to match that other column, and then bring it down and kind of show that. And then if I want to extend it to actually match the same height, same thing. Use the push-pull tool and then snap to the points of that top of the column.
Wow. We've got those columns. We see how easy it is to create geometry. You've got the whole facade there.
That's right.
Let's talk about that, because I think this is a cool example.
Yeah, so in preparation for meeting you guys, I actually kind of modeled the whole the whole building 2 of the scan from the scan itself, and you'll see it here now. And I'll hide the point cloud just so you guys can get a better view of that. This is all done directly from the point cloud, basically just drawing geometry and matching the window shapes and any small indentions inside of the facade, and I just basically matched it to what the point clouds were telling me. Maybe you have some questions about how accurate am I doing it. You know, maybe you're just like, maybe it's not matching the point cloud exactly. You can actually use some of the tools within Scan Essentials. One of the ones that I like the most is the inspection tool, which you can basically create an inspection map of the entire point cloud, and it'll tell you within a specific set tolerance that you see here. Right now it's automatically set to 95 millimeters, and you can change this to imperial units as well, and you can kind of change the slider to set your own tolerance, but basically it'll tell you which of the specific points on top of your model are within that set tolerance.
Wow, and so, I mean, that's very similar to what we're seeing in the Connect and the Triceps workflow, but they've brought those same tools right into Scan Essentials so that in SketchUp, you could do the exact same thing while you're modeling.
Yeah, all within the same software.
So if that was out of your tolerance or where you want it to be, then you can easily have all this geometry right now. You're moving it and you're editing it. Wow, that's really cool.
Yeah,
stuff.
see, when you get down to the really accurate level, you know, my modeling isn't super accurate, but if you increase that tolerance a little bit, you can kind of see, you know, we're getting
I'd be putting
there.
that slider all the way to the right.
Exactly, we're getting there. So one of the most important things about modeling is making sure that you're actually mimicking what you want the model to actually look like, even if it's either a new space that's going to be constructed or an already existing structure. You want to make sure that it matches what the real world is going to look like. So Scan Essentials has this really cool tool where you can match the texture of the model that you've drawn to match the colorization from the point cloud itself. So it has this little tool over here called Project Point Cloud as a texture. You can set the settings to what you want them to be, the texture detail, the distance between the model and the point cloud, and then the empty pixel filling. And you can see that I'll create the texture here, and once it's completed, I'll hide the point cloud so you can kind of see that the colors now match. The geometry actually now matches the same colors of the point cloud here.
Wow. One more thing that we're seeing more and more is we're not just looking at vertical structures, but people are also having to getting a better understand of the surface around the structure.
Exactly.
Right? And this is a perfect example because I've been to Westminster. There's a ton of undulations here, and a ground mesh could actually help out in this case.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you have a space that you want to get a better understanding of how the sloping is across the site, you know, let's say you want to install a new asphalt, or if you just want to make sure that your building is being constructed, you know, properly on an uneven surface, you can get a better idea of the terrain model by using this Create Ground Mesh tool within Scan Essentials as well. Because the SketchUp will actually recognize which points on the point cloud are the ground and which ones are the buildings. So it can differentiate them like that. The standard mesh cell size will match about 1 meter or so, or 39.3 inches. And then you can go ahead and create the mesh directly within Scan Essentials. So it'll take a few seconds to actually get going. But, you know, using this tool, you can get a better idea of all the sloping, the drainage, and kind of get an understanding of, you know, where your water is going to flow and how you actually want to construct your building on top of this different undulating or varying.
But we should note, like,
terrain.
this just created the ground mesh. Like, we didn't edit this down. Like, this wasn't like, we cut out 3 minutes of think time. Like, this was actually, like, live. Like, that's how long it took to create that mesh.
That's right.
So that's amazing. And so, and now we have a fully actionable mesh that you can use, you can measure against, you could do walkways, you could do anything. I mean, there's a ton of applications for that. And you've got actually a real digital terrain model that you can now use elsewhere.
That's right.
So, well, Matthew, this was a fantastic discussion. I really appreciate you taking the time to sit down with us today and really talk about, you know, this different perspective and focus on laser scanning. A totally new world that's kind of been opened in my mind. And of course, if you have any questions, would like to dive into this topic within your own workflow, reach out to your local building point representative. So we're going to do another one? I didn't scare you off too bad?
No, we have to. We have to.
Okay, fantastic. And don't forget, smash that subscribe button, stay up to date with the latest tips, tricks, and pointers. We'll see you next time on That's the Point.